I am California of the past.
I
I
am
am California
California
of the
of the
past.
past.
I
I
am
am
California
California
of the
of the
past.
past.
My name is Gwen Holt Robinson, and I'd like to tell you my story about Pomona and Pomona High School fire of 1956. Actually, it's not too much about the fire, it's more about our senior class. The fire it was an ordinary day in May 14th. It was a sunny California afternoon. Just after lunch, I was in a class in the basement of the building in the West Wing. It was an accounting class. When the fire alarm went off, not many of us felt that it was a very serious thing, and we didn't like it much because it was hot outside. But we went out anyway, and we waited, and we waited, and we waited some more. After about 15, 20, 25 minutes, we were becoming agitated and feeling that maybe they should just let us go home and end this day. But then we noticed that there was a small wisp of smoke coming out of the ceiling, the roof of the school, sort of a white wisp like you might see when there's a new pope being announced at the Vatican. We then heard fire engines, but I was in the front of the school and we didn't see any fire trucks. We just heard the sirens. It didn't seem to be anything serious, although it was a fire, but that was all we saw. Soon I think it was the vice principal came out and said that we were all going to be able to go home, and that was just a really delightful news. So my girlfriend I'd met up with, we decided to walk to her house and get some Cokes and chips and just sort of kick back. She lived on a street that went from our school auditorium, and it went straight down east. So about 2 or 3 blocks to her house. And we walked down there, got our Cokes and chips, and went out on the front lawn to just look back at the school. By that time, it was beginning to billow black clouds, so we got very concerned and decided to walk back to the school. As we neared the side of the building where the auditorium was, the drapes inside were all aflame. The glass was popping out, the flames were all over, and then we heard the dropping of the balcony and the beams inside, and we knew that our school auditorium was completely gone. When we walked around to the front of the school, as we passed the East Wing, there were students inside who were helping to pass out the office machines, desks, anything out the windows. Other students were carrying it off to the front lawn to try to save all these things. We went around to the front of the school as far as we could. We saw the other wing, the West Wing, the second floor of the building was the chemistry room, and that's where there were students up there and teachers who were putting chemicals in little baskets and lowering them down to people and other students on the ground. And that was our day, and we watched our school just go. Rumors began flooding around all night, of course, and the next day as to what we were going to be doing, where we were going to go, the fairgrounds or other places. But the next day, on the 16th, the school district announced that there would be no school. We were finished for the year. We had about 3 weeks of school left. So then came all the questions about what about our grades, what about our finals, what about our things that were left in the school that we wanted to get. And it was not until the next week that we actually had a senior meeting held by our principal, Winston Nelson. And he told us that our grades were secure and they had been put in the fireproof vault, that we would not be having finals, which was a great relief, and that they had contacted various colleges in the area, and that they knew our students were going to, and there would be no problem about the fourth quarter grades. So we relaxed and we thought, okay, that's that. Now we had 3 more weeks and we still had all the graduation activities because most of them had been planned long ahead, and so how to keep going with them. The first thing that we had was our final assembly. Usually we had it in our auditorium, where our seniors always sat in the senior section downstairs in front, and the juniors sat on the sides, and the sophomores, the lowly sophomores, were upstairs in the balcony. We didn't have that auditorium anymore, but it was very nice of the people at the Fox Theater, and they let us have our final assembly there, where awards were made, and the traditional seniors got up and walked out the back door as the juniors moved from the side sections into the center section. And the sophomores came down from the balcony, known as the shelf, and took their seats in the junior section. It was usually a very, very sad, very moving event at our school, but it was a little less so at the Fox Theater. The next big event of the senior year was the senior breakfast. It was always held at the E-Bill Club, which was across the street from the school. It was most notable, I guess, for the huge 100-year-old tree that was in the front lawn. So you always could recognize it, and it was something nice for us to look at during the year as we had lunch or something on the front lawn. The senior breakfast was held on graduation morning at 8 a.m., and it was traditional that was the time that the seniors, the last time that the seniors were socially together, sort of. It had we were shown at that time the yearbook. We were so surprised to see our yearbook having a little red schoolhouse as its theme, although the theme had been chosen way back in the fall. But it just was so moving. And of course, as soon as you opened the yearbook, there was the full-page picture of the burning high school. It just brought tears to everyone's eyes. And we thanked our editor, Mary McMullen, who really worked hard to be able to get that picture in, as the book was at the printers at the time of the fire. It was, we had our awards, and we had jokes and kidding around. It was a traditional breakfast. The decorations were all sort of impromptu because the actual decorations had been stored in the art room in the school and had burned in the fire. So it was sad. It was a time for the seniors to be signing their yearbooks, and we tried as much as we could to keep up the tradition. Usually we went out on the lawn of the E-Bill Club, and at noon, if we were still around when the school broke for lunch, we could go across the street and get signatures from teachers and lower classmen in our yearbooks. But of course that year we couldn't do that because the school was closed off, a fence all around it, signs up, no trespassing, and there was no classes in session. So the morning ended rather quickly, and we went to get ready for our graduation that evening. The graduation ceremony was held at 6 o'clock at the Greek Theater in Pomona. It was a traditional graduation. The paper said there were 3,000 people at that graduation, which was pretty good for a town that had a population of 35,000. We had 400 graduates. Not all of them were there, of course, because many of them had moved on already with 3 weeks, actually 4 weeks, because it was June 14th, exactly a month from the time of the fire. After graduation, we had the graduation party. It was an all-night party. It was held at the Student Union at Pomona College. We didn't have much for decorations, but we did have entertainment, a well-known vocal group of the time period, the High-Lows, one of the quartets that were so popular at that time. We had dance music, and we had as much fun as we could possibly squeeze into the night. And that was our senior year. It was certainly a memorable one, more than I think a lot of seniors have. But we kept smiling and we moved on. A lot of students went to college. Many got married that summer. People had jobs. And we got together on our 50th reunion in October of 2006. It was nice to see a lot of those people still around and doing so well. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this story.